Yeah, my name is Matthew Peoples, President of the company. I've got Mary Lynn Lawrence today with me on the call, and Mary Lynn's going to walk through the majority of our short 4 or 5 slides of PowerPoint and then jump into some presentation products as well. So here's a quick agenda, introductions I just did. Mary Lynn will give us a high-level overview of property management facilities functionality, and then she's going to move into the demonstration. And all the phone lines are muted on today's call, but if you'd like to ask questions, and I know that we will get a lot of questions off this today, we always get a lot of questions, you have 2 options for asking questions. Since I'm hosting today's call, I'm going to field those questions and bring those up to Mary Lynn as we go throughout the call. You should see a chat window in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you will ask your questions and direct them specifically to myself, Matthew Peoples, I will queue those questions up and either ask Mary Lynn the question while she's doing the presentation, or at the very end, I'll ask all the questions at one time to Mary Lynn. You can also email questions to consulting@amp-email.com. I'm monitoring that email while we're doing that today. One of the first questions that's always asked is this being recorded and how do I get a copy of it? So yes, we are recording today's webinar, and we will be sending out a copy and a link to the recording at the end of the presentation. But in case you want to be sure you actually get that as well, you can always email consulting@amp-email.com. So Mary Lynn, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Beautiful.
All right, Mary Lynn, go ahead.
Okay. So thanks for attending the presentation today. This is a really interesting area for me in that we learned about these different, the facilities requirements just sort of along the way. And I have to admit that initially we got into the facility side and introduced into the facility side through the IT projects that we had started. And people would see the work that we were doing on the IT side, HR, facilities, medical records, other groups would want to come on board and be a part of that. And the mistake that I think a lot of people were making, including me initially, was to view facilities as an overlay of the IT implementation. You know, the IT implementation was in there, it's service management processes, and we could just, you know, do a little overlay that makes it specific to facilities. But as we started meeting with more and more facilities customers, we understood finally what they were saying, which is, yes, we follow a service management process to fulfill the needs of our end users, but we're much more than that. And there are different pieces that we saw just were not a fit as an overlay to IT areas. And so what we built out here using a couple of really different pieces of functionality is the area of project, work orders, and portal. The guts of this is that we created a new business object called a work order. We use the Cherwell, in Cherwell, we use the Cherwell portal. We use the Cherwell already produced M app for ITPT. And all of the things that are done in the demo that you see are done doing very easy configurations within Cherwell. And since we're not really doing a Cherwell overview, as we go through, I'll interject some interesting areas, such as none of the configurations that we've made on this system are invasive to an upgrade. And I'd love to talk to you in more detail about the upgrades in Cherwell, but they are done in the blink of an eye without impacting the configurations that you've done. So this work is easily portable and using all of the Cherwell functionality and configurations. Let me go to the next slide here. So project is a piece that we didn't really see this coming when we got into this, and I promise I'll move fast and show it to you in the tool. But when we started talking to facilities people, work order is very important. We all know work order is very important. But we were being asked repeatedly to have a project overlay, something kind of light that's easy to use but follows some formal processes for things in facilities that are projects. And so you can track the project. They have deliverables, members, budget items, work orders can be tracked to the project. And the types of things that we've heard for facilities are SIP, the capital expense, big projects, refresh and renewal, and also ongoing maintenance. Those are three of the typical types of projects that we've heard about. And I'll show you those as they're associated to the work orders. The work order is going to allow us to categorize the request or issue that's coming in. You can have multiple tasks against the work order. It can be associated to a project. We're going to set up a scheduled maintenance event. You can track time, and we most recently added tracking costs also at the work order level. You're going to see a portal that we have with a focus on enterprise service management, where we will be going into the facility side of this, but you can see the use of the Cherwell tool so that it can be specific to your requirements, but also provide a cohesive single point for your end users to open up requests and report issues. So here are the pieces that we're going to be covering today. We're going to have a work order, which is the core piece of this. We're going to show projects, and those projects have associated work orders. Work orders can be opened via a project, via a service catalog request, or ad hoc from within the tool by a supervisor or other people who can open work orders for the facilities or property management teams. Okay, I think I'll go right into the demo now, Matthew. I'll just share my screen. There we go. So can you see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, that's a good start. So let me just refresh my portal here. We're going to start out at the portal and then go into the client itself. So as I was talking about at the beginning, this is an AMP hub. You can make the portal look anything that matches your organization, from the colors, the schemes, and again, this is all using Cherwell configuration tools. What we have, what I'm demonstrating here is that you can have multiple different organizations on the same portal, but still have the ability to go into each of them and have a unique look and feel. But as an end user, I'm very happy to be able to get to all three of these and yet see my, to be able to see my overall issues in one place. So I just want to show you my view here. And this is my items again. We're in here as an end user. And I don't want to make this complicated for them to have to go 3 different places to look, whether they have an HR issue, a facilities issue, or an IT issue in this example of a 3-pronged ESM look. So I'm looking at my items. I'm able to go in and see issues that I have raised or requests from an IT perspective. But then I also can go in and take a look at my work orders. Let me go back out to home. I'm going to go into the facilities area. Just do a brief tour around here. What I've done is underneath Cherwell, there's a very powerful catalog, and that catalog allows you to do so many things like auto assignment, presenting specific fields. But we want to make it a little bit easy, and we pull that catalog out into some really high-level areas that are common requests or issues. So again, these are from facilities customers of the top reported types of issues that they're having. So you can either click into these, or if I click into other facility-related issues, it does take me to the facility part of the service catalog. And you can see that I have different categories and subcategories that I can report against. I'm going to stay out here at the high level because, again, about 75% of the issues and requests from our customers have been up at these 4 different areas. I also have an announcements area. The announcements within Cherwell, we've configured it so that they can be very specific to the area. So this is a facilities announcement. If I was in the IT area, I would see IT-related announcements. So let me go in and just look at my open work orders. You can see that I have a nice listing here. I can sort on the different columns here. I can export this to Excel or a CSV file, and I can also print this. So let me go and just take a look at one of the tickets that's in here. That's a good one. Let me pick on this one here. So again, this is an end user's view of the work order tickets that they've opened. So if I go in to look at a ticket, and again, these fields are easily added or taken away, I have a little bit of a status on this work order. It was opened as a building management roof category and subcategory to put a new roof on the tennis court. So you can see that who it's assigned to and what group it's with. And I can also see that there is a task here. So one of the pieces that's very powerful about the end user portal is being able to not only allow people to open up requests very easily, but that's only one part of it. You need to be able to provide them with a status. So the tasks are available here, who's working on it, what team it's with. I can also, in this case, see that this work order is associated with a project, and I can see a little bit of information about that project as well. So if I want to go ahead and open up a new ticket, I'll do that, and then we'll go back into the back end and work on that a little bit. So temperature control issue, I clicked on that, and now it's asking me some information about it. Too cold, the exec conference room. I can expose additional fields here if I want. If for any types of operation and maintenance issues that come in, you have a list of questions that you want to have answered, these different lists of questions can pop up based on the types of thing that they picked, the category that they picked in the catalog. Building is something I've been very sensitized to from a facilities perspective as being critical. So we really try to focus on getting building information, and you'll see in the technician view that you can have dashboards and reports against those as well. I'm going to go ahead and submit this. And a work order will be generated on the back end, and we'll go take a look at that one when we go into the client. Matthew, any questions so far that have come in on the portal side?
So yes, on the portal side, one of the first questions, as soon as you pulled that screen up, I got two questions back to back. Is that the new Cherwell portal? So do you want to talk a little bit about what this portal is and where it came from compared to what they might see in their version 5 or 6 version of Cherwell?
Well, I hope they're going to get this to 8 really quickly, because there's some very exciting things in 8. But this portal, we designed this and created an M app from it to lay down. And in fact, we're doing, right now we're doing significant portal designs for our customers, because, you know, no matter how good the Cherwell portal is out of the box, you're going to want to make it look and feel like your organization, your theme, your corporate vision. And so what we have is that we have a web designer, Kara, who's on here too, because we needed visions. As technicians, we are not very good at design. So we have a web designer who is really good at color and design, and then we put this into a map and load it on top of Cherwell. Again, not invasive to the upgrade and using all of the underlying Cherwell tools.
So, so another question came in along those lines of the portal. If they were to stand this portal up, or they've got an existing, if they're using an out-of-box portal, these portals work together, Mary Lynn, is kind of how this question came in. So they don't have to trash what they've got. They can use a portal specific to facilities, or like at the hub that you had earlier, it could be a bunch of portals all on the same page. There you go.
Yeah, that's a good question. We have some customers that there is a need for them to go to their own home page. So in that case, we just you have a different link that you send them to. and it's not part of the, the ESM view, the enterprise view. It would be, if it's facilities, here's the link, go to there. So it can coexist as an enterprise service management view, or it can be separate.
So Marilyn, the other question that came in specific to portal, I see where it came from. When you're on the hub, it shows the HR piece down the bottom. So we got a question. I wonder where they got the question from, but are we going to touch any type of HR today? So I know the answer to that is no. We're focused on facilities today, but we are planning to do an HR demo, much like we're drilling into HR facility today. We'll get into all the HR stuff that you've got up on the screen in sometime in the future.
I just went in here. You notice the look and feel is the same with the color, so that as an end user, I feel comfortable in the interface. But it definitely has different areas based on human resources.
Okay, so that's the only part. We've got other questions, but I think I'm going to queue them up when you get a little further into the presentation. So keep going.
Okay. That sounds good. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go into a technician view, and I can do that in two different ways. I have the browser client view here, which is almost identical to if I use the desktop client. So I didn't want it to be like smoke and mirrors, trust me, there's a really good browser client. I wanted to show you that as well. And this is the desktop client. So as you can see, it's very, very similar. The other client that we're not going to talk about today, but is very important, especially for facility side, is there's a native mobile application for technicians to use. And so that's really handy for your Androids or your iPhones, for your technicians using an app, not just going into the browser client, to be able to work on tickets, see what tickets are in their queue, and be able to update them as well. So notice I came into a dashboard view here. A dashboard is very powerful. Again, it can have lots of different looks and feels. Right now I have two different types of areas that I'm querying here, but you can see that there's charts. I can have gauges. I think there's over 100 different widgets and styles that you can put into your dashboards. And one of my customers once told me, and I now firmly believe in the strategy of R&D, which is rip off and duplicate. I haven't hit anything in the Cherwell software, including the facility side, where I wasn't able to use something that was already there. So for my work order queries, I looked at the queries that are available for incidents on the IT side, and I just changed those to work order. And I can focus on building now instead of maybe office location. So this can look and feel many, many different ways for you. What I'm focused on here, though, as a technician coming in, I need very quickly, and also a supervisor, to be able to see what work my team has assigned to them and any of the tasks that are owned by that team. Up here, I'm getting a view of where the orders are at the assignment group level, and I can also see that same information, but at a building level. Let's go ahead and take a look at the project side.
Mary Lynn?
Yes?
So one of the questions just came in here specific to when you mentioned this is where they would go to see their work. If they've got some type of tablet or mobile with their guys handling these work orders are using, they can do that as well. They don't actually have to log in to see this. Is there a mobile way that they can do this?
Yep, and that was the piece that we were just sort of talking about, the mobile app piece of it. And absolutely, you download the app, and it has some really powerful functionality available for the technicians to access their work. Okay. All right, so let me go back there. I did that too fast. Sorry about that. We can go, let me look at the project view, and I'll take you back into the work order side of it. So I have two different projects that are here. I can customize the columns. This is really a powerful view, powerful tool for seeing the operational side of what you need to work on or look at, but you can also modify the different columns that are here, and again, you can export these or print them as well. Let me take you in for a high-level view of project. All right. So this is using, it's a modified configuration to the already available out-of-box ITPP project tracking map that Cherwell had. And we just added a few things to it. So I had mentioned that the different types of projects that we've heard a lot about are SIP, renew, refresh, and ongoing maintenance. In this case, this is a SIP project that I created for a large project to build a boat ramp. And the pieces I want to draw your attention to is that, you've got a budget. You can be tracking your budget, deliverables, schedule, and risk. And these would change color depending on the different statuses and states of these 4 different areas. And we're not going to go in deep to this because I really want to focus on the work order side. But you can see that you can track cost items in the project, labor and provisioning types of cost items, and that's what rolls up to your budget and tracking to the budget. You can have project members, risks. You can identify equipment that's associated with this, meeting minutes, different tasks. Lots of journals are tracked. Any modifications in Cherwell against the different records have a tracked audit to it. There is a portfolio concept, and some of our facilities customers have said, yeah, I have 100 projects, and that's good. But those 100 projects need to roll up to an overall portfolio. Right now, portfolio is just a record, but for one of our customers, we're configuring portfolio to actually be a superstructure over the project. So you may have $2 million in your SIP portfolio that have 10 or 12 different SIP projects that would roll up to that higher portfolio level. You can have change requests associated with it, and then I had mentioned that there are work orders as well. So work orders can be alone, or they can be associated with the project. Let me go take a look at one of these. When you're in here, everything is linked so nicely together. So I'm in the project. I'm not just looking at this. I can actually go out and go into the ticket itself. So I get a view of the different areas here in the work order, and then I can go out to the work order itself. And we'll go back out and look at this in the queue as well. Okay, so that's as far as I want to go on project at this point. We're going to go into look at the actual work orders now and see how they are associated with projects and different tasks. Any questions on project at this point?
There are, and I think I'm going to ask them here in a minute, so keep going.
No, that's good. Yeah, once we get all the pieces, then that might take care of some of that. At any point, you'll see this little tab over here called the task pane. This allows you to do searches on the different areas very easily. And then I'm going to show you, if we have time, the quick search builder, because one of the most common questions comes about where you say, yeah, this is really good, and I know that I can things with this, and I can view my work orders, and I can do all kinds of queries against them, but I need to do some operational queries easily, and you can do that with the quick search builder. In this case, I'm just going to go look at the work order that we were viewing in the project, and I can just do a search from here. Let's take a look at this a little bit. So here's a work order that was already created. You can see we are talking about the project. The project is associated with this work order. We have some tasks that are associated here also. And those tasks in this case have been created because we're tracking the time and the costs. You have a classification. You notice that these are the same classifications that we saw up on the portal. And when this came in, it can be automatically assigned to the team based on this categorization scheme. So we have different categories, different subcategories associated with them, which is really going to help you with your reporting and potentially for your assignment to the appropriate teams and people. We have prioritization on urgency, and impact, and in this case, not IT types of urgencies. We have proposed start and end. Again, the all-important building information over here as well. You have ownership over here. In this case, the team that owns this is the Facilities Annex 1, and I happen to be in as Sawyer. I own this ticket. You can add tasks to the ticket as well. And what I wanted to show you here is that we're actually tracking time and tracking cost. So as I went into to do this work, I noticed that I needed to have some costs that are associated. So let me just show you what that looks like. So I have a cost. I tracked my cost here. It was $400, and it was against this work order. Now, one of the things that we haven't done yet, but we plan to do, is to take these costs that are being tracked here in the costs, the time and the material, and roll that up to the project budget. Right now it's part of the work order, but if there's an associated project, our next step is going to be to post those costs and time back into that project to impact that budget real time. Okay, so what I'd like to do now, I want to go ahead and open up to show you how this would flow. So let's say that you didn't get the ticket from the portal, somebody opening it, but you just know that something needs to be done. Your supervisor or whoever can come in and open this, or you get all of those drive-bys. Hey, can you take care of this? So I'm going to go ahead and open a new one to replace light bulb and annex. Come on, lobby. Make this energy management, electrical, and down here, based on this category, I could have put in some additional fields here that would say every time I have an electrical type of issue, please answer the following questions as well. I'm going to go ahead and put my building and location. This is populated via your Active Directory. We bring that in, integrate with Active Directory for all of the people in the organization and your end users. You can set up SLAs if you want. At this point, there aren't SLAs there, but SLAs can be tracked by person, by the service, by almost anything that you want based on priority. And they're based on response and overall resolution time. Now, in this case, I could make this a customer request, but I do want to show you the scheduled maintenance side of this. So I'm going to say scheduled maintenance for HVAC tuning. I don't know. I don't have one right offhand, so that'll work. The type of work order would be scheduled maintenance, and you can see that now we a couple of other options that present themselves. So I'm going to say that the frequency is quarterly, and I want to start this on February 1st. And I want to make this 3 different recurring tasks for that. Tasks are awaiting generation right now, and in the meantime, I'll just sort of talk through some of these different areas. So if I want to track time, as easy as this. What did you do? Worked hard. Some of our customers really like this. Other ones are a little skeptical of having somebody manually put in time. It's either something they don't like to do, or it gets done too late after the fact that you're not sure how accurate it is. But most of our customers are using that part. You can see that I have time tracked as 2 hours on this, and as people come in and add their time to this, this will continue to increment. I can also do the same thing with costs. and that cost $20. All right, so I have $20 cost has been tracked against this as well. In the meantime, we have our maintenance tasks have been created. So you can see that it's quarterly starting on February 1st. And what this does is it creates tasks ahead of time, assigns them to facilities, and gives them a due date. Now, you can decide how you want that to show up out in the dashboards. They're probably all showing out there right now. But generally, for future tasks, we would have it be not show up in there until a designated time. Perhaps you don't want these kinds of scheduled tasks to show up in a person's queue until a week before it's due. So any of those rules can be enforced by whether they're visible or not, and whether they're auto-assigned or not either. So that's the scheduled maintenance side. We've talked about being able to track time, track costs against it as well. We're taking ownership, and all of these things are being tracked in the journal. Very good in showing you what it was before and what it changed to. Okay. So let me go back out to the home area. And you can see that the recurring tasks are in the queue right now. Again, you can set up a rule in the query to only show the tasks that are within an X time frame of when they are due. Let me show you the search. So the search is very easy to build. You get a menu or a panel that looks a lot like this. And let's say I want to go all open work orders where the building name equals, and it's going to present me with the building names as well. So it's as easy as that. You can continue to add criteria to your search, and then click OK, and it brings back only those that are for that building. So Matthew, if we could take a couple quick, would be good, because what I've done, I got through the major areas. I tried to go a little bit fast to make sure we had time. So we hit portal, project, and work order. But now I can go back into more detail on any of those areas based on where the interest is.
Perfect, yes. Perfect, yes. Thank you. So again, just as a reminder, if anyone has questions, feel free to ask them in the bottom left-hand corner where it says questions, and I will pose those to Mary Lynn as we go through. Or just direct them specifically to me as Matthew Peoples. All right, Mary Lynn, first question. Well, it was very early on. You're creating and talking about work orders, and the question came in, and this is obviously someone that's very familiar with Cherwell, and the question is, why use a work order as opposed to a service request function? Mm-hmm. You got an easy, quick answer for that?
Yeah, you know, just to give you some insight into our HR side as well. So on the HR side, we actually are using the incident object. We felt that the similarities were they were really, really close, and so we felt like there wasn't going to be any issue of concern with impacting that object by using it for the HR side. When we got into the work order side, though, for areas like the scheduled maintenance and some of the other deep underlying areas that I probably can't explain as well, not being a technical coder, but once we started to identify the requirements and look at the maintenance that it would be by, if we put it on the incident side, we'd have to say, okay, well, we want to do this for the facilities thing. At what point are we having to configure a bunch of rules so that it's not going to impact the other areas that are coming onto the system, specifically IT in that case. So there were enough unique areas that it was worth the time and the effort to build out a new object so as not to continually have to figure out how to play nicely with the incident side of things.
Okay, good answer. So we had some questions, and the two individuals who are asking these their title are the facilities manager group. So this is not an IT type question. This is purely somebody on the facility side asked this, two different individuals. Their guys are not used to technology, so they want to be able to print out a work order and go work on it. Can they print a work order?
Yeah, so we within Cherwell we hear that an awful lot as well. So printing of tickets is very easy, and in fact what we do is we can set up specific formats that work with your with what works for you. So you can print either the whole queue or whatever you want your search to be, and then you can go ahead and print that, or you can print the individual tickets. In this case, I just pulled up this listing. I can pick from what are the different fields that I want to have show on the printout. In this case, I'll just take them all, and let me just preview it for you. So yeah, it's not big enough, is it? So this is just a preview of it, but printing, exporting to Excel, and then specifically the mobile app to allow people in the field to go ahead and update and see their tickets are very common requests. So yes, very good on printing at the ticket level or the queue level.
So the second part of that question then is back to my team is not technically savvy. There's lots of tabs. I see you clicking around doing a lot of stuff. My guys can't do that. Could you use the system in such a way or customize the system that is much easier to see what I got to work on and provide an update? So in other words, can I dummy down the system to make it easy for someone that is not used to all these tabs and all this clicking around?
Yeah, definitely. And, I think that, let me go into one of these tickets too, because there's the disadvantage on a demo system where I want to make sure everybody sees all of the things that they're capable of doing, right? Versus, what do we really have to have? So, again, these screens can be made to look like what you want. I mean, we can change the fonts and the colors and things like that. Down here, I was sort of showing off by leaving all of these different tabs here. But if the only thing that you are interested in or your technicians are interested in, we can vary the view based on the role or the group of the person coming in. Potentially a supervisor wants to see more than a technician, but we can get rid of these tasks if you don't hear about equipment in here or, the vendor and change requests and project. And these fields, when you just look at the fields, and let's take tabs out of the way, let's pretend tabs aren't there. We could stretch this out, add some color to it, and really you're only asking them to work in a couple of different fields.
Okay, perfect. I think we've got those questions taken care of. So let me move into the next question. Ty was asking about notifications. So if can a notification be sent the moment that a work order is created and assigned to someone to go work on? Can it get them an email? Can it interface with them in such a way to let them know, hey, you've got to go work on this? Yeah,
absolutely, and it's probably there. I don't have my email hooked up, but so let's talk about notifications. It's just a really common thing. Again, Cherwell comes with a ton of things called automation processes, and a lot of those or one steps are involved in doing notifications. So very, very common. A ticket is opened and put into a queue. It's very common, especially for facilities organization where people, their job isn't to sit there in front of the, and wait for something. Oh, is something coming in? They've got a real job that they're out there doing, and maybe queued up work. So we can send an email notification to everybody in that team if that's what you want to do. Or you can wait. A lot of our facilities organizations sort of have a clearinghouse. So it comes in, gets assigned to facilities, and then there's a resource manager or somebody that will determine who should be assigned to that. So instead of blitzing everybody in a team with an email that says, hey, your team just got this ticket, who's going to pick it up? wait until the resource manager or however that would work in your organization identifies it to a real person. And I'll show you that here. So a resource manager could come in and say, okay, this is the facilities team. It says it's not assigned yet. I'm going to go ahead and assign this to Sawyer. I think he has time to do it. It's right up his alley. At that point, once it got assigned to Sawyer, or in this case, so it doesn't say you, I'll make it Josh Wilson. At that point, Josh would get an email that the ticket has been assigned to him.
So, Mary, can they interact with that email if they reply back, working on it now? Is there any interface between email that would update these work orders?
Yeah. So, somebody reading my mind out there. There's the ability to track email history so well in Cherwell. So they can email they can actually email from within the work order. Let's say they have a question for the customer, or whatever type of event that would happen to have them work in the work order and send an email. They can send an email out from the work order. The end user can reply to that email. It has a record indicator on it, so when it comes in, it gets consumed by the email monitor, and it's then updated against that same ticket. So you can be doing lots and lots of email exchanges from the ticket, and all of that is audited, and the whole email is kept track of within the journal.
So, Mary Lynn, I've got 17 questions pending that I've got to ask you, and I see others still typing. So if by chance we do not get to your question today, I know we've got another 15 minutes, 20 minutes to talk through this, be sure to email consulting@ampemail.com. I'll be sure to get answers back to you. For some reason, I do not ask your question as I'm going through these things. So I'm going to tie these two questions together. Mary Lynn, you mentioned version 8, so that prompted an immediate question of version 8, when's it going to be released, and are you guys going to do an overview like you did with version 6 and version 7? So can you speak to that briefly?
Yeah, I think I have some even more knowledgeable Cherwell people on the phone, but the partners had access to that the other day, and we're digging through it. We were also part of the beta program and are super excited about doing it, and have a person full-time focused on preparing a webinar and some papers for the highlights of that. So I think it's available to the customer on the 15th was the last date that I heard. And we will be having a webinar probably in a week or two to go through, as we come through it, knowing what our customers are looking for as well, doing sort of a high-level overview of the new features and the upgrade process, and just talk through that through a demo of version 8.
So, Mary Lynn, the second part of that question then is we're looking at our facilities app that we've built. What version was it built on, and what versions does it support?
Right now, 7.02. It was built on 6. We upgraded it to 7.02 recently, and we're probably going to do a couple different versions of it. We can map this up and lay it down with 7.02. We're very sensitive to the fact that we need to make sure that whatever way we deliver this is done in a way that it doesn't disturb existing implementation. So we're going to do an M app, and we're also probably going to rewrite this in version 8 to take advantage of some of the version 7, version 8 work unit, service catalog, beef up the purchasing side of this as well. So right now this is available 7.02 as a map, and then we're going to be enhancing it, but our enhancement, I believe, we're going to do from scratch on 8.
So you partly answered one of the questions that came in earlier. Hey, I saw your facilities map in the Cherwell map exchange. I clicked the link and registered, but didn't get the map. What do I got to do, and why didn't I get the map? So you kind of touched on it there. Is this isn't something you just install and turn on and it works immediately magically. There's some configurations that got to go on to make it work in your environment. We got to walk people through that and talk them through those things. So you need to say anything else to that, Mary Lynn, or did I kind of cover that?
No, that was good. But let me add to that a little bit. So the mergeable apps piece is just so powerful in Cherwell. We are just in love with that. And it can hold lots of stuff when you map it up. Now, there are some maps that are out there on the Cherwell Exchange that you can just pick them up and put them down in, like the project mergeable app that's out there by Cherwell. And because that's its own object and it just sort of exists on its own and linking to other objects, you can put that down and it's not going to be invasive to anything. Now, our map for facilities, not that invasive is a bad word, but it's not invasive, but you have to delicately weave it in. I mean, you saw that out on the portal view, we were using the catalog, so we need to make sure when we work with you that we're not messing up your existing catalog that you may have in there. We want to also, because it's the project tracking map that we took advantage of and made it a little bit facility-like, we would have to, if you already have ITPT, for example, we would have to make sure that whatever is in our map doesn't interfere with your piece. So there are just some, just some weaving that would have to take place that would make it a little bit difficult to just take the map and plop it down on, unless it's a brand new install.
Perfect. Okay, so Marilyn, I'm going to ask this question, but I know we've got Carlos Bernal and some guys from Cherwell that are on the call that may be able to help answer this. We get this every time we do these webinars. Is the facilities app made in such a way that it will automatically resize and work in a mobile environment so that whenever they use it on a tablet or use it on their phone, is it going to look like it was developed on those, or is it going to have to scroll around and move some things? So, Marilyn, you want to speak to that, and then Carlos, if you want to answer real quick, a question to me of when that's going to be supported. So
yeah, so I mean, the mobile app is already supported, and what we'd have to do, because we have a facilities object, a work order object, we just would need to configure that, make that dashboard available and that object available through the mobile app that's there. And it's just darn good and solid. But it's our understanding that as solid as that is, there's some really exciting changes coming in the mobile app in some of the future releases. So my short answer is just with some minor tweaking, we can make the facilities side of this usable in the mobile app. The future part I can't speak to, except it sounds really cool.
Okay, perfect. So let me get back to my questions here. So Marilyn, take a few minutes and talk about, Wendy asked a question around, is there an area for equipment? So can you talk about tracking equipment?
Yeah, so right now what we have in, just as an example, is that I just have one item in my configuration management database right now. So what we did was we created a new configuration item object, supporting object for facility electric, and we're going to do facility HVAC and facility fire and safety are the three areas that we're going to put in there. But we can absolutely track, I'm so glad you asked this question. I forgot all about it. So we can track equipment. On the IT side, they call them configuration items. Most of our facilities customers just call it equipment. And one of our customers, in fact, we're going to be integrating with Pembe to bring that equipment from property management over into Cherwell to use it to support the work order processes. So in this case, I have an electrical device record in here. It has a name and an asset tag, and it can there are different types of electrical devices that you can capture, so you can put them into the types. And you can have the different attributes that are applicable to the type of equipment that you have. In this case, we have electrical device, so we've got volts and amps and RPM. The other thing that you can track, regardless of the kind of equipment, electrical, HVAC, fire and safety, is that we also can track the vendor in that. And so vendor tracking and contract management are just an easy extend of this. The vendors are already available as a object in Cherwell, And this customer that we're going to be importing their pen bay equipment from, we're also going to be putting all of their contracts in. So we're going to be tracking contracts, which is already existing in Cherwell, and you don't have to do any configuration on that. We're going to get their contracts in, import them in from a spreadsheet, have them continue to maintain them in Cherwell, and then track them to that equipment.
So, Mary, I'm going to combine about 2 or 3 questions together here. They're all, hey, like what you're building, makes sense, but I've got additional requirements beyond what this looks like for my facility, specific to my facilities. One of the questions around, do you track space allocation, and do you do anything else from a facility standpoint? So do you want to speak just a moment? You hit on it a couple of times that this was built off of existing customer requirements, and we continue to mold this with every customer. But take 30 seconds and speak to what we can do with this beyond what they see today based off their requirements.
Yeah, so as we've been talking to other customers, as I said, a lot of our customers have been, we found them, they found us from an initial IT implementation. And their requirements fit very nicely into the areas that we have here. We've been working with some larger, more formal facilities organizations. And what we're going to build out in that case, and I say build out, again, I'm not scared of it in Cherwell. It's not coding. There's no code that you have to do. It's configuration. We're going to build out this equipment vendor management side a little bit more to be tracking the tie between them and the associated costs. And then we also are going to use, there's a purchasing map that's available. We're probably going to modify that a little bit because the last ask from a customer was, okay, this is great, but I use a lot of consumable things as a facilities manager, and I need to be able to order those things really easily. So we're going to be, the other piece that we're going to build out, and we're hearing is pretty common, is the ordering side of that associated to facilities, and then tying that to purchasing and reconciling with purchase orders in some of those different areas. So we already can do, if any of you have seen the general demo of Cherwell for the famous one is the new hire process, and ordering from like a catalog, we want to extend that to be facilities types of things and then go further into the purchasing part.
Marilyn, back on the database question, I think you've already answered this, but I'm going to ask just to be sure. If they want to import data from an external system, so if out of their ERP system that they've got facilities type data or anywhere else, can you import that into Cherwell?
Well, the question would be, do you want it just to be an import? So the answer is absolutely yes. You can import information into Cherwell from a spreadsheet. What I would say, and what we see more commonly done, working with a customer now that wants to get all of their leasing information in, there's some significant columns on those spreadsheets, and then trying to manage changes against that, and what's going to be your master data for that. Cherwell can bring in those imports. They can schedule them, but you also have the opportunity to do database-to-database types of integration, which is a lot slicker and cleaner. We can set up views on it as well. In case the data doesn't have to live in Cherwell, we can be in Cherwell and view out to the data in other sources. And also there's a powerful web API that can be used to more formally do the data integration, which has been rewritten on the web API. I mean, I don't want to say rewritten, but it's just wow in version 8. So if you have any interest in API integration for some of the things that we've been talking about, take a look at the version 8 information on that area.
So Marilyn, some of these are reporting / questions. So this is about service level agreement reporting that Ty was asking. Interested in service level agreement reporting such as percent completed on time, demand work orders completed on time. So can you speak about how they can track SLAs in facilities?
Yeah, so SLAs can be set up based on almost anything basically. I mean, it out of the box, it's service, customer, and configuration item or a piece of equipment. So you can have those three SLAs running in parallel and being tracked in parallel against these a single ticket. So I don't know whether it would be the priority potentially or the different type of equipment, but you can track the SLA response time, meaning how quickly it was assigned, and you can also track it against the resolution of that. And you can set them up by any different way. For facilities, we're just seeing it more on priority. And again, that priority is not set by the end user because we all know what that would be. But SLA can be tracked then for % complete. And I can send you over, as one of my takeaways is I can send over a list of those types of reports that can be tracked.
Perfect. So, Marilyn, can we assign work orders to outside suppliers? We've got about 3 different people asking that type of question. They've got people that are not employees of the company, but they want them to use Cherwell to hand off work orders for them as a third-party vendor and update what they're doing in the system.
Yeah, we can set up an integration to do that. One of the government agencies that we're working with, actually, we're going to be doing it, in their case, between 2 Cherwell systems that have to be separate systems, but when a request is open in their case, they want that to go on over to the other system. Now, you can do it a couple different ways. You can make it, pretty formal with an integration, sending ticket information over, and on their side, then when that's updated, it can come back over and update the ticket. You can also email it out, and at that point, the ownership is not exchanged over to that other vendor, but you can email them that information. So I guess it depends on what the other side looks like. If it's just to give them a notice, we can email. If it's to put it into their system, then we can definitely do an integration with that.
Okay. So you were talking earlier about time and cost, and that some people don't trust the fact of them manually putting in their time. If we wanted to interface with a third-party application that is a true time tracking, time card, like Kronos or some of those other systems that have time and cost, can you import that into Cherwell and update values inside the ticket?
Yeah, so I think that almost what we've seen is the other way. Is Aramis on from Manatee, Matthew?
He is.
Aramis. They export time information at Manatee County Government. They export time information from within Cherwell out to another system that does time tracking. So we see that one a little bit more commonly done because there are systems that just do full-blown time tracking for an organization that includes more than potentially what you'd want to put in Cherwell, but at least get that information from the real-time tickets out into that system.
So, Marilyn, last question I'm going to try to ask you now is approvals. We got 2 or 3 people talking about approvals. If they've got work order out there and they say that they've delivered and they want the requester to approve it, what level of approvals do we have in facilities, and how does that work?
Oh, that's a great question. So for any of the requests that are created, you can say what type of approval that you want. So in my case, in the demo, there were just simple things that were coming up and there were no approvals. But for requests coming in, based on that category and the service category and subcategory, you can say if it's this type of a request, then it needs this type of approval. So the most common is that if somebody wants something that is over a certain dollar value, they pick something from the product catalog that's over $500, then it needs to go to their manager for approval first. We can set up any kind of approval that you want. Maybe potentially it goes for financial approval first, and then it goes to a management approval next. And then when the ticket comes into the system, they're going to get an email that something in their approval. They can reply to that email and say approved, and it'll come back in and update the ticket as being approved. So any level of approval can be established, and then the task or the work order can't move forward until that approval has been completed.
Perfect. Marilyn, thank you so much for doing a great job of answering every question I threw at you. I don't think that I messed you up too bad with any of those questions. Thank you, everyone, for asking all those great questions. There's a few more here that I've got notes on that I will respond back to you with questions I get to ask Mary Lynn here towards the end. I hope that you enjoyed our today's presentation on our facilities application we built on top of Cherwell. We absolutely love the Cherwell product, and it's amazing what you could do with this solution. If you would like to see a detailed demo of facilities where you're one-on-one with Mary Lynn or someone from our team and can ask questions, feel free to do so. I threw that last slide back up on the screen. You can always email consulting@ampemail.com with your questions, or if you want to see a specific demo, we can line that up as well. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks.